Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the London Regional Workshop. During this session, we hope to share with you some of the work we've been conducting in London over the past year. As you will all be aware, the adult social care system has worked tirelessly to continue to commission and provide high quality care to vulnerable adults across the capital. We've also really strengthened our collaborative approach across local authorities, adult social care providers, universities and educational colleges. And this has really culminated in what we want to share with you this afternoon, the Proud to Care London, which was relaunched on the 6th of April of this year. And very importantly, included a very big thank you to all our care staff in the form of a reward system. So this afternoon, what we want to share with you is some information about our journey to date, our plans for the future, and also I want to first of all introduce you to our steering group, who are all present with me today. So I'll start with myself. I'm Beverly Tarker. I'm the workforce lead for London ADASS. I'm also a DASS in Haringey. And I've been really, really pleased to have been part of this collaborative effort to actually relaunch Proud to Care. So if you can go on to the next slide, please. I'll just take you through the members that are with me today on the platform.
Is that the slide, Beverly?
Next slide, please. No, the next, I didn't see, yeah, that's it, that's the one I want. I think it's really important to really recognize the collaborative efforts of a range of stakeholders. So on the platform this afternoon, we have Professor Jill Manthorpe, who's a professor of social work at King's College. And she's also been very closely involved in working with the steering group. We've got Joel Bothman, who's the head of care for CarePoint Services, and Peter Gerard, who's the managing director of Care Outlook. Really two very important providers who've supported us intensively over the past few months. From a practice perspective, we have Chris Atherton, the PSW in the London Borough of Haringey, also the head of Quality Assurance and Development. We have Dr. Wilson Mulea, who's the head of department and associate professor at Kingston and St. George's. We have Rehal Therapy, who's also the regional safeguarding outreach officer for the DBS service in Greater London. We have Tristan Bryce, of course, our program manager, who's been very instrumental in coordinating all of our activities. And we have Chris Blas, the director of sales and strategic partnerships for the ICON reward system. Oliver Clark is a project support officer working with London ADASS, and Nathan Cole is the engagement lead for Proud to Care, also working with London ADASS. I'm also pleased to say that this afternoon we're being joined by Ben Parker, who's a senior peer support worker and group facilitator at CNWL. Ben is a core member of the London ADASS mental health project team, and we'll talk later about some of the opportunities for the Adult Social Care Academy in relation to collaborating with people with lived experience moving forwards. As well as the relaunch of the Proud to Care website, we've also developed lanyards, and we would have loved to have been able to share them out, but they only arrived this afternoon, and they will be distributed around London by the end of the week. So if I can have the next slide, please. So really just a real summary of progress to date before I show you a short clip which sort of really represents and reflects the work of the steering group to date. So as I said earlier, we are now launched our website last month. We've got a lead in place to support the work of the group. And I'm really pleased to say that every local authority in London has identified a Proud to Care lead with regular communication through to the central ADASS team. We have a weekly process for passporting those who complete the online expressions of interest survey to Proud to Care leads. This happens every Tuesday morning. And this is, of course, aligned with the National Recruitment Programme. Proud to Care leads meet regularly to progress this work. And as I said earlier, really, really pleasing to see the launch of the Care Rewards earlier this month. So what I'm going to do now is to ask one of the team to show you a short video clip, which I think just demonstrates the range of the work that we've done in the past few months. Joan, if I can ask you to start the video, please.
Tristan, I think you need to stop sharing for me to be able to do that.
There you go, John.
Proud to Care London was first launched last year to great effect in terms of supporting us through the pandemic. Within London ADASS, we have been working on producing a new and improved website with the aim of promoting the care industry across all London boroughs. Social care job roles have been expanding since the beginning of the pandemic, and we want to ensure that our care career allows you to build and prosper through a variety of ways. That's why we've designed our website with you in mind. The original site, which started in Proud to Care North London, gave us the building blocks, and from here we have finessed and improved to give the best experience possible.
We've built this site to make it really easy for you to find out the information you need about working in adult social care. Many people tell me how surprised they are about the variety of jobs that are on offer now and the opportunities that are available for promotion, for training, for meeting new people. And above all, social care is about making a difference. We think this site is really easy to access, and we hope that on it you'll find lots of information that you need and see what's on offer locally, near you, near where you live, near where your childminder is, or near your mum, near schools and so on. So come and join this site and see what there is on offer.
We want you. You might have lost your job or thought about coming into social care for some time. There are so many interesting roles in social care, and we have created a way to support each and every individual that comes through to enable you to grow, to achieve, and to make a positive impact on the people that you meet and support along the way.
We don't only want to take you along the recruitment journey, but also help you to build a foundation of which you can grow from, to enable all individuals to achieve a high level of understanding and knowledge across the sector. As a social work educator, developing workforce has always been a key driver of mine. We've been working with London employers to co-produce a social work degree apprenticeship program that is now in its first year of delivery. It is great to see the impact of both the apprentices and staff on this program. Proud to Care will help to strengthen this approach.
We then developed this idea even further. We wanted to formulate a way in which the whole social care sector can be rewarded for all the hard work that has been put in since the beginning of this outbreak. As an apprentice working on the Proud to Care website, I have seen how hard it has been since COVID has hit. This is why we're giving back to the social care workforce. This rewards card doesn't only help social care workers, but also supports local businesses in your area. With this, there is a huge array of offers that will be readily available to the social care workforce. If there's a certain shop or business that you go to each day, let us know and you can submit their information to us and we'll sort out a deal. This means you can get cheaper items and they can get free advertising and more customers. Win-win. We're excited to be able to give back to all the social care staff out there, and we appreciate everything you're doing to keep our loved ones safe. We want to thank the whole social care sector for all the wonderful work that you've been doing over this past year.
We hope you have enjoyed everything you've heard so far. The official launch date for the new and improved website is on April the 6th, and we can't wait for you all to see it. Proud to Care.
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 Thank you very much. I'm just going to hand over to Joan and Peter now to give a flavour of the provider involvement during our work.
Thank you, Beverly. And I think really, in my role as the chair of the Home Care Reference Group for ADASS and alongside Joan, we've been running these weekly workshops which really echo what Beverly has said earlier there about, the collaborative efforts of all the providers, and that stretches across London. We've seen fantastic involvement from all. We've been running these weekly for the purpose of firstly raising awareness of Proud to Care, and then to explore how that can support providers both in terms of recruitment processes and retention of staff. And these workshops have been very successful, of course, and we've launched them with an online survey for those that are less forthcoming in the actual meeting themselves, so that we can capture as much contribution as possible. And Joan's very kindly put together some feedback from those.
Yeah, from the groups we've kind of looked at, firstly, as Peter have said, the awareness of the Prouder Care initiative. And the first thing that was really identified is the lack of identity in social care compared to the likes of the NHS, the lack of a reward scheme, as well as the cost of recruitment that employers were faced with, and how, if we all work together, how we can really make savings on that and support each other better. And, I think we've all been really excited about the reward scheme that a year on is there for the social care staff, and they are benefiting from it. We then looked at the recruitment processes, and, the message right through it was from everyone is that we all need to beat the same drum, really creating that collective identity, that making people feel valued and part of a wider team, which working together is reducing cost. And then the last step was how we can support the providers to retain their staff. And that was working collectively in collaboration with training providers to upskill people, to retain them, working with ICOM to put the reward scheme into place. And the beauty of it is also how staff can nominate local services that is local to them to go on the platform and benefit from that service. So I think, Chris, it's over to you to explain really how the reward system works.
Yes, of course. Yeah, thank you very much. I'll just share my screen. Can everyone see the website okay there?
Yeah.
I can now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay. Proud to Care Rewards is designed to engage and reward stakeholders across London in what has been a very challenging year. The platform is fully branded, as you can see, and it's designed to save every user up to £1,800 per year on their everyday spending. So really it's a thank you, but it's also a way of stretching net pay in what is notoriously, often low paid, and making people's money go further, particularly in a challenging time. It launched on April the 6th. We've already got just over 5,000 users coming up on board using it. The aim is to roll it out to all care workers across London. I'll log in now, and you can see a little bit more about what we're doing and what it means to people. At the moment, there's only 2 tiles on there, but the plan is to include a number of other tiles that'll include things like job vacancies, information about vaccines, and anything else that we feel is relevant. There's information on healthy living, so it's all sorts of things you can think of linked to health, financial, emotional well-being, and we're bringing in some other support mechanisms on that as well. On the lifestyle savings element, so when you click through to this here, again, still branded, and there's discounts available on everything any normal person would spend money on. So supermarkets, eating out, attractions, home and garden, utilities, cost of running houses and flats and accommodation, things like internet, broadband, television, mobile phones, motoring if people drive, health and beauty, gyms, etc., and travel, which has not been particularly popular in the last 12 months, but I'm sure will be opening up soon. An example of a great discount available is something like Tesco's. So if, like myself, I spend £100 a week in Tesco's on average, over the course of 12 months with a 4% discount, that equates to £200 of savings almost for my family, which makes my money go a little bit further and is a great way of engaging people regularly. We've gone a step further, and we've recognised that people need relevant content in their local communities as well. People are shopping locally, and if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's to support local businesses and independents. So we've got something called the Proud to Care Vectis card. Vectis card is a product that we own and we've released into the market. There's over 1 million cardholders across the UK, and it's branded to Proud to Care. As you can see, the London skyline there, so it's very engaging. And essentially, this card can be shown in over 6,500 locations across the UK. Some of them national brands, a lot of them are local independents. And it's designed to basically give a discount in a local coffee shop, a local restaurant, a local hair salon, a barber's, a butcher's, a candlestick maker, whatever it is, wherever people spend money locally, we want to really engage those businesses to offer a discount. We go one step further with it, and we actually allow users to nominate their own favourite retailers, local independents, and that's really about delivering relevant content where people spend money so we can stretch their net pay on things they're already spending money on. So somebody could nominate a local coffee shop that they go to every weekend. Could be a hairdresser's, could be a salon. We will reach out to these local independents and we'll try and get a discount for that user, but we'll also offer it out to all of our Proud to Care users across London, and they can all benefit from it. So that offers 3 wins. It offers a win for the user so that there's relevant content and they can spend money. It's a win for ADASS because you're actually demonstrating that you're supporting local businesses. And thirdly, it's a win for the local independent because they're going to get more footfall. We don't charge them anything, and we promote them to all of our Vectis card users across the UK for free. So there's lots to it, and if we can save people £200, £300, up to £1,800 a year, that's got to be a good news story, and it's a fantastic way to say thank you. There we go.
So Chris, I'm going to take over. Just let me know if you can see the slides.
Yes, we can.
Is that okay?
Thanks, Tristan.
Brilliant, brilliant. So I'm just going to take you through. So what we're now working on over the next 6 weeks is another sprint. And the sprint is to get our jobs board up and running early in June. I just wanted to flag to everyone, Beverly mentioned the lanyards. So there's a picture of what the lanyards will look like. We've gone for the ADASS colours. I call it oxblood, some people call it burgundy. But my job today is to take you through what, from a resident perspective, if someone's interested in adult social care, what will be their journey. So first of all, they will hit the London ADASS homepage, and on there they'll have some information about adult social care to determine if they want to pursue a career. If they choose yes, they then undertake a short survey that includes DBS checks to ensure that they're understanding what a role in adult social care would mean, and they're still willing to pursue that as a career of choice. Following that bit, they then do the care certificate, the knowledge element of the care certificate. And once they've successfully concluded that element, they will then get login details to join the Adult Social Care Academy, which will then give them access to the jobs boards. They'll be able to apply directly for jobs across London, and there'll also be ongoing training materials that Wilson and Jill will talk about. So if I hand over to you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Tristan, and a very good afternoon, everyone. So from what you've heard, I think you'll all agree that what we have is a really exciting opportunity and a great platform to help us build capacity into our social care family. So we're now focusing on those next steps and how we can expand on our recruitment so that we are connecting with a wider group of those seeking career and work opportunities. What we've identified as an essential element in supporting this programme is to build on and strengthen our engagement with Job Centre Plus. So in this space, Skills for Care have done some really excellent work in North East, South West and South East London in connecting into Job Centre Plus, and through this bringing them into the fold of Proud to Care London. What we will need to do is to ensure we support this work And for our Proud to Care leads, and obviously there is one attached to all boroughs across London, to really push that. So those links into Job Centre Plus and really to have that really front-facing role in supporting that work. In June, we'll be launching our customer relationship management system that will enable all adult social care staff to access the reward scheme, the market insight tool, the jobs board, and the range of accredited training courses. They're in development at the moment, but they will be ready at launch in June. So I will hand you over now to Jill, who will talk to you a little bit about the Adult Social Care Academy.
Great. We're really excited about the Social Care Academy. It's a first for London. I think it's probably the first nationally. I wanted to say that all the work we're doing is evidence-based. We've used good evidence about recruitment, that people join a job because they hear good news about it, also because other people tell them good news, and we're pretty sure that the discount card will be a key part of that. But just to say that everybody's keen on training in adult social care. We know that the workforce would like it and a lot more opportunities to access it. So there's going to be training, which we hope will improve retention. We're going to be doing OT work through an apprenticeship work, and our own research on nursing associates shows how popular and how good such programs are in getting people to stay, particularly to stay where they live. The social work degree is going to be delivered and is already being delivered through the apprenticeship route as well. And our mental health practice guidance will become one of our first deliverables and part of our big promise that we made to London during the Race Equality Week as well. And lastly, but not at all least, we must ensure that people with lived experience as users of services and as carers are equal partners in our approach, and they're going to be with us all along the journey.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Just to add a little bit on the work we've been doing with London ADASS in relation to social work degree apprenticeship. So the original idea was started by the Spoke network, and through the Spoke network there was a competitive bidding process that was put out, and Kingston University and St. George's University, I'm proud to say, we were successful in that bidding process. And we started working with the mainly the PSW network to understand what they wanted out of a degree apprenticeship program. And I'm proud to say that I think we're one of the few courses that's been co-produced with employers in mind, taking all the employers' ideas on board, and we've worked very closely with the employers to have the course validated with Kingston University and St. George's University of London. And more interestingly, and I think exciting, as the London employers will agree, was to get the course approved by Social Work England, because we had to demonstrate the actual partnership arrangements. So we're really proud that the work that we've been doing has really been co-produced with the employers, with some of the, at that time, potential apprentices who are now on the course, and with people with lived experience. In the week when we were celebrating Race Equality Week, we had an opportunity to have some discussions with practitioners. And out of that discussion, it became clear that the practitioners were asking that we look at how we might put together a good practice, mental health practice guide. And as Gio has said, we've started doing that work, and we're really looking forward to how that is building up and coming together, and taking on board all the views, all the ideas of the practitioners. But more importantly, we're listening to people with lived experience. And Ben, who's going to speak now after me, will say a little bit more on how we've been working with people with lived experiences. Ben.
Cool, thanks, Wilson. Yeah, hi guys, my name's Ben Parker. So I suppose, you know, just to go and give you a bit of background of how I got involved, Tristan kindly asked me to come along to a chat regarding mental health in Race Equality Week. So I think moving forward, what's happened is, you know, myself and Wilson, Tristan, and a few others have kind of created a steering group in terms of how we mold and kind of, you know, shape, I suppose, mental health services moving forward, and using myself, with my lived experience, and taking my experiences, some of the other service users' experiences, and kind of building a framework from that. So I think we've got something coming up for Mental Health Week, which I'm assuming some of you guys will be attending. And yeah, I'm just kind of happy to be on board, happy to be a part of, and I'm kind of glad that I get to kind of share my experiences, but also bringing some of the other individuals who have got lived experiences of accessing mental health services, or carers of mental health services, along this journey with us. And yeah, over to you, Nathan.
So yeah, hello everyone. I'm Nathan Cole. You might have heard of me. I've got an email from me trying to advertise the London Social Care Academy. I would have been probably the first contact you would have heard regarding the London Social Care Academy. And part of one of the reasons I'm so enthusiastic about the whole initiative is essentially I kind of just want to explain a little bit of my journey in social care, and hopefully it'll kind of explain to you why all of us are here, and that why we want to make this the best kind of initiative, the best scheme possible for you, the providers. So yeah, initially it was just over a year ago. I started a job, applied for a job working as a administrator of a brand new website that's just being launched in North London called Proud to Care. Little website, not really well known, hardly any employers on it. But we ticked along for the first 3-4 months. I learned all about social care. I learned all the amazing things that people do. I learned about the different tasks, that social care isn't just, without being horrible, just like the nitty-gritty. It isn't just bedpans and bed wipes. It was about the activity coordinators. It was about the actual caring. It was about the cleaners. One of my favorite jobs that I did was filming a video with a cleaner, and all she did was clean at this care home. But she could barely speak on the camera. When I put the camera up to her, she just went silent. But the amount of passion she had for just making sure that the residents had clean clothes, I will never forget that. It was one of the things that just made me go, oh my God, why don't people know about these people? And so I began to get a passion in social care. Then COVID hit, and it sounds, again, it's a horrible time, and I don't want to trivialize anything, but I saw superheroes emerge, and not just superheroes in social care. I mean, I was the receiver of pictures of social carers receiving donations from their community. I saw them doing the hardest work. I mean, and not getting thanked for it. They weren't getting the claps as much as the NHS, but they were doing stuff, and I was receiving all this. I was head of a Twitter profile, and so I'd ask the social care providers to send me your, goodwill email messages, just saying that people have sent to you. Again, it was overwhelming, and one thing that did strike me as well was the army of people in the count behind the social carers, many of the people that you see on the screen as well, that kind of just saw a problem and did their best to fix it. And that's in many ways what the Social Care Academy is. It's what's lining up. We saw a need in London in social care, but particularly in London, where providers are having a tough time, and they're not getting thanked, they're not getting congratulated. So the idea is to kind of thank them for all the work that they're doing, and all the work they're doing with the reward scheme, and also possibly make work easier for them, because we know they were already struggling. You guys were already struggling and having a tough time, just keeping everything afloat. regardless of lockdown, regardless of COVID. So this initiative is a big thank you from the councils to you. It's a thank you to say, yes, you know, we do appreciate you. And again, like I said, there is a massive army of council workers behind you trying to do their best, trying to improve the situation for you. So again, this is just the start of the London Social Care Academy, London Proud to Care. Ideally, you know, we want this to go global. Well, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but my mind always goes too far. I always say that. But we want this to go wide. If the NHS can have a brand recognition, why can't social care? You do just as much, if not more. Well, let me not say that before I say anything controversial, but you do just as much. And you do, I mean, many of the nurses I speak to will say they started out in social care. Social care is where you learn the basics of care. So this is a wonderful initiative, and I'm hoping that, you all get on board and believe in it and endorse it as much as you can to all of your colleagues. Let them know that social care is on the rise. We might not be there yet, but in 5 years' time, 3 years' time, everyone will know, okay, yes, I want to work in social care. If they come from abroad and they want to work for the NHS, they might go, actually, maybe I'll try social care. So yeah, that would be my little spiel. But I just want to say, yeah, thank you to all the care workers and to the, council workers, the staff. Seriously, I've been amazed by what's been done in social care just in this last year. And so to think that now we're all together, what we can do. So yeah, over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Some really, really heartfelt and I think really powerful words. There's a comment in the chat from one of the participants saying she wished some of the colleagues in government had learned as much about social care in the last year that you seem to have learned. So I think really, really powerful messages. So just at this stage, I hope that people have been able to be aware and learn a little bit about the work we've been doing. It's very much work in progress. We're very keen to develop across London, and we see this as phase one. We also see this as ourselves as having important links with children's social care, the importance of the health integration agenda and how far we can actually bring our work together. But at this stage, I'd just like to thank everybody on the panel, and open it out for any questions or comments that the audience may have from the panel. Thank you very much. Oh, so a really positive comment there from Kathy. Kathy, I don't know if you want to say anything more. You've got your hand up. You're very, very happy for you to speak.
Sorry, I come off mute, Beverly, would help, wouldn't it? So yeah, I just think you've just blown me away, guys. People might not, if people don't know me, I used to be a London branch chair. I was a ADASS in Southwest London until a few years ago. I think this is just fabulous. It really has needed some out of the box thinking. And your passion and your energy and the drive here to do something different is just, yeah, is fabulous. I guess if I've got a question, it's about how you're kind of, I mean, you've talked about the kind of the recruitment initiative. How do you see this moving forward in terms of tackling some of the ongoing workforce challenges in terms of recruitment retention? Perhaps a little bit more about that would be useful to know. But yeah, well done, everybody. It's fabulous.
Thanks very much, Kathy. Yes, and we know we're within very challenging times in terms of workforce and recruitment. I think you'll be very familiar with the ADASS, National ADASS's commitment to get a fair wage for our care workers on a parity of esteem with NHS workers. That's a struggle that continues. I think we will all agree that the profile of social care has really been raised during this pandemic. So it's a foundation for us to build on in terms of those discussions with government. But I just want to say a few words about sort of retention, because what people have told us is that it's important that there are career progression opportunities, that there are training pathways. A particular passion of this group is to look at diversity in terms of leadership and management opportunities that reflects the communities that we serve. So there is very much something around the involvement of Professor Jill Manthorpe and Wilson and Chris in terms of that practice and educational perspective in terms of developing the work that we're doing. So I don't know if I'll just open it out in case you want to say anything more, Jill or Wilson or Chris, but we think that the package has to go hand in hand. We have to have that offer as well as the recruitment drive.
Yeah, thank you, Beverly. One of the things that we've been looking at doing, and this is something that we've tried at a smaller scale at Kingston University and St. George's University of London, is to actually work with the employers to understand some of the gaps in their training provision and see where we can collaboratively commission training packages. So these are training packages that don't necessarily fit in the standard postgraduate university courses where learners are taken away or employees are taken away into a university sitting in there. But it's more creative. And we've been talking about this with Tristan and others about having arrangements where the learners identify what they would like to learn, and working with the university, we support them with crediting that particular learning. And we've done that elsewhere within my university. I'm very aware of that. And we credit that learning and enable them to build credits so that if they're that creative and ambitious, as Beverly has said, they're looking at getting into a management position and they need to demonstrate that they need those management skills. They need to learn about management theories. They can actually build up to a postgraduate qualification or certificate depending on their level of training. And those that are not yet qualified and are looking to come into social work, the degree apprenticeship program that I just talked about, we're now looking at as we recruit, because in the first intake we recruited 60 apprentices, so we're actually one of the larger providers. So we're looking at how we can open that up widely to other non-local authority employees in the PVI sector who are also looking at developing themselves into gaining the qualifications and upskilling themselves. So we've got quite a lot of ideas. It's just how we contain them and how we work together to make it happen.
Thanks, Wilson. Jill, do you want to add anything to that?
Just a couple of points. First of all, it isn't all about higher education. There's the role of further education, and London's further education provision has clearly got to be part of our journey, and to include those. They're the real powerhouse, I think, for getting a lot of people who are interested in uniform services, health and beauty, all the people we'd like to come into social care. So FE must be on our radar. And the other bit is to talk about basic skills. We can talk about progression to postgraduate, but we need to remember that some of the real impediments to people joining a career where they're going to be having to use a lot more technology, they're going to have to read a lot more, even if it's just medication dispensers or something, is we've got to address the basic skills and make some sort of offer there that social care is welcoming of people without basic skills, but come to social care and we will support you through the disadvantages that you've had in education in early years. And that's what we've got to respect, I think, isn't it? That we're attracting people who've been disadvantaged and maybe need a chance to make up and to build back better, just to use a sort of COVID saying, but to build themselves up. And social care is a very friendly place to do that, and far less threatening than I think many other commercial or private or even public sector in places. So that's the two areas I think we'll have to look at next, is basic skills, but also FE.
Before I come to you, Catherine, Chris, is there anything you want to add? I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess just picking up on what Jill and Wilson have already said, and I think there's the role of how we go out and educate people about the career opportunities. I went and did something fairly recently with our local college to talk about social care as an offer, and actually going into schools and talking to people about being a career opportunity was never something that was ever addressed with me when I was growing up. And most people do fall into social care. It's never offered as a really viable opportunity. So I think it's about building how we do that. The other thing that I've thought about and kind of relates to me, we've got 40 universities around London. Lots of people there who don't know a career pathway. I was the same. I went to university, I did English, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And it was somebody who came and spoke to me and said, well, I run an agency supporting people with head injuries and learning disabilities. Would you like to try that? And that was it. That was my career pathway ever since then. But there's so many people at a perfect time to make that connection, to get into it and think about a career. And even if it isn't a full-time career, the ability to access term-time workers to come in and support the system as and when we need, I think is a really good opportunity. So yeah, just to build on some of the things obviously that Wilson and Jill have already said. Thanks very much, Chris. Can I go over to Catherine, please, and then I'll take the comment in the chat.
Hi, my name's Kath Jones. I'm the ADASS for Warrington Borough Council, so up north. It's really inspiring to hear what you've achieved in London. Two questions from me, because what I would say if I just describe the local landscape for me is that we've just got funding through the town deal to develop a health and social care academy. The funding is generally focusing on the delivery side of things, and from a social care perspective, I'm struggling in terms of capacity to just sort of work with it to develop what's needed. So my question was, how has this initiative in terms of being able to create the links, develop the programs, do the work, what's the funding arrangement that you've got?
Did you say you had two questions, Kathy, or just the one?
Well, there was that one, but it was also in terms of the links with further education, really, about how you went about developing. So it's linked, isn't it? It's how you went about developing the courses, really, as well.
Thanks very much for your question. I'll start off and then I'll hand over to Tristan, because he's actually been the linchpin in terms of the coordination of this group that you see here this afternoon. But I think there are some general principles that we bear in mind, that actually collaborative working and coming together from a range of different perspectives is really the key to how we develop and progress. And Tristan has been instrumental in sort of bringing this wide range of representatives together. So Tristan, maybe you can add a little bit more detail about how you actually went about doing that.
Well, thank you very much, Beverly. Well, it's been selling organs. I've got no more organs left and trying to get people to come in. But I think what we used, Kat, was this has been an ambition of ours for 5, 6 years. And I'm laughing at Kathy, who used to be the branch chair when we first had these discussions. But we really used COVID, especially around March, April, as the opportunity to implement at pace within 2 weeks the Proud to Care initiative. And then, as Nathan said, what we've then done is business has usualized it over the last 3 months in terms of giving a reward scheme to say thank you. And we thought April was really, really important. In terms of funding, we got contributions from each of the local authorities from the workforce funds in order to get the reward scheme for the first 2 years. We're looking we've got a range of provider reference group. I think at my last count, we have 8 provider reference groups across all elements, bed-based care, home care, shared lives, etc. We communicate directly with our 3,300 providers on a regular basis. Peter and Joan are here as the chair and vice chair of the home care provider reference group. And in terms of moving forward, as Jill says, engagement with further education, that needs to be strengthened further. I think we've done quite well with the universities. We also work really closely with London. So what we're trying to do is bring an evidence-based approach to all the elements that we do. And that's what Jill brings to the table, as well as other things, of course. And I think then the final element is we'll be looking to providers, and I'm going to hand over to Peter and Joan to also contribute on an ongoing basis to the funding to make it sustainable and a real system response in terms of social care. And what we're looking to do over the coming months is to calculate what savings will be made when we go to the jobs board from the provider perspective, and then use that as the call to action to get them to contribute. And Kat, our final ambition would be that members of the academy pay a subscription. Then it really becomes a professionalised sector within London. Peter, Joan, I don't know if you had anything to add.
I think just really, talking about, the aspirations for sort of bringing this together, and when we talk about recruitment and retention, it's not just it becomes more than just a jobs board, and we just invest so much money to recruit staff. It's one of the biggest challenges in social care, isn't it? And I just think that there's so much synergy between promoting the industry, promoting the career, and then creating the access and having the two join together. Joan?
Yeah, I think for us the key as employers is you can pay hundreds of pounds for an advert, let alone training, and it's having that subscription where you have it all in one place. It streamlines it gives the information, because just sifting through CVs for applications, where with the pathway and being involved in that, it kind of steers people into what kind of direction in adult social care they want to go in, depending on their kind of what they want to achieve with their job, and what kind of tasks. So really drilling it down and giving them all that information. So instead of one person applying to 10 different jobs, we hope that they apply to the right job the first time, because we've given them all the information. So a lot of work is going in behind the scenes with Skills for Care and everyone to make sure that all the bases are covered and that information given, and that they start, but that they know that there is progression routes for them, and it's not I come in, I work for a year and I go somewhere else. Actually, I can stay with this employer and have access to this training and then progress. And I think from the start, we as kind of employers have said, it's good for us if I can get somebody to end up as a social worker in a local authority that I work with or whatever, that wants to go the full circle. So they've done the job through us, we've progressed them. We will in the long run have much better care plans, person-centered, and also taking the workforce into place that actually have to deliver that work on a day-to-day basis, and not an idealistic care plan coming through wanting, so that's kind of closing the loop to take it full circle, so that we can show people you can start somewhere and where you can end, and give them all those opportunities in one place.
Okay, thanks. Just so I've understood this, though, are you basically saying this has been on top of your day job, all of you?
Yes.
Yes, that's how I work, Catherine.
Okay, thank you.
So, Beverly, you're on mute.
Apologies, it had to happen. I was just saying, yes, it is on top of the day job, but as Tristan has indicated, COVID actually sort of galvanized us. But it's important to note that in terms of the sub-regional, the Proud to Care activity actually started in NCL. So it gave us a platform on which to build during COVID. Jill, I just wanted to bring you in terms of the academic links that Catherine was asking about, if you want to say a little bit about that. You're on mute, Jill.
Yes, it's been a real pleasure for them, I suppose, the academic and research links within London, which have always orientated themselves to the Department for Health and Social Care, but probably had far less contact with providers and employers than we should have. So it's been greatly mutually rewarding. And I think this is the name of the game, that we have to all collaborate a lot more and use the pockets of money that appear within education, within other places that we know about that have different terminologies, to make those links, and to also make sure that in an era of integration, that adult social care really stands up and stands proud in there, and we don't just recruit people who end up working for the NHS. Obviously, it's great that people work for the NHS, but social care should not really be a stepping stone to the NHS. Indeed, we want to create pathways that people working in the NHS can come back to social care and get the greater autonomy, the greater person-centeredness, the greater flexibility of social care. And so I think we must make sure that in terms of talking about integration, that we can use the research and evidence to say, hang on a minute, let's make sure that parity means both ways: parity of esteem, parity of reward, parity all around 360 degrees.
Thanks very much, Jill. I'm just going to bring Chris in just to respond to the question in the chat around the reward scheme and businesses. Chris, do you want to respond to that, please?
Yes, of course. Yeah, thank you. So as part of the scheme, we've got a kind of a procurement team that responds to requests for recommended retailers. So if a user wants a specific retailer to be on board, they send a form through electronically to us, and then we follow it up with that business owner, and we try and negotiate a discount. We send an email to say thanks for your recommendation. We've arranged a 10% discount. Show your Proud to Care app or website and get your discount. In addition to that, there's a number of local Facebook campaigns going out across London soon, where we're actually going to be targeting certain segments linked to local independents, so coffee shops, hairdressers, barbers, takeaways, restaurants, all of that as well, so that we're going to make it as inclusive as possible for all of the local independents.
Thanks very much, Chris. And there's also a question in the chat about links with providers and how we went about developing those links. So obviously COVID gave us the ideal opportunity to build on existing contacts. But I would, from my perspective, I would say it was really during COVID that relationships were really built. And I'd just like to invite the providers on the chat, or even Tristan, to say a little bit more from their perspective. Thanks.
I think, Joan, do you want to go first? Because Joan has been a real sort of champion of a collaborative approach and remove the adversarial nature of our relationships. And before you go, Joan, I sit here embarrassed that I didn't liaise directly with providers before COVID. So, Joan?
Yeah, well, I think it started a couple of years ago, Tristan, when, you know, the real thing of looking at partnership working through initially through commissioning, and where there's good relationships with commissioners and providers, and a kind of a partnership working and working together, that it really goes into better quality care, better support for the staff and everything. And I think was one of the London authorities that I've worked with, when the commissioning pathway came about, we talked about that, and that's really where it came about, to really give social care that voice. And kind of, for me, I feel quite strong about as a manager and provider, that, you know, I've gone into care to want to make a difference, to change the world, as a sense, you know, and there's too much kind of segments and kind of the blame culture. So when that came about, and it was really a slow process, but we've worked on that, and kind of, and there was, you know, lots of change happening, and the local authorities in London engage in that. But as Tristan said, COVID really pushed it, and kind of just, listen here, we all have to work together. We're in this storm together, and we need to survive this. We need to work together, and we've really, I think, grabbed the opportunity to then, because then we had everybody's attention, and we could then really say, this is what we want, and everybody has just really worked together. It's like, if we look back, you know, what, 14 months ago to where we are now, taking into account that we've started with it 3 years ago, we, I think, achieved more in the last 14 months that we've done prior 2 years to that. But it is because it gave us you know, technology is wonderful, you know, and it is, we miss sitting around a table, but it's so convenient to quickly be in one place all at the same time for half an hour to discuss something, take away action points. In a week's time, we're all back, you know, we talk again, because you don't have to travel anywhere or nothing. So I think, in a sense, you know, it has taught us a lot to work together and use actually technology to our benefit to get things done quicker.
And Joe, I think there were 3 key elements as well. There were the SPOCs, single points of contact. Every borough has SPOCs for each of their sectors. That was the first bit, and they connect directly with all the providers in the borough, not just the ones they commission with. And they were up and running within 2 weeks of COVID. Second was the market insight tool and the daily surveys. The daily survey, the information from those surveys were then used by the SPOCs to support their providers. That built a real sense of trust and relationship. I think then the third element was, as Joan says, the use of technology. But we've moved now to, we're like you say in Bolts, we sprint all the time now. So this group meets weekly. They call me the breakfast destroyer, because we meet at 8:15 to 8:35 every Tuesday morning to ensure that we can progress. And that's what builds the momentum and confidence. You know, people joined, it's a clear list of actions. Are they done? Then the day starts.
Thanks very much. So hopefully that's given everyone some insight into how we work and the reason why we've been able to make such progress in such a relatively short space of time. And I'm confident that we will go forward and grow. I note the comment in the chat from Denise, I think, around the diversity component of the work that we're doing, all the different routes into our care and support workforce is really, really important. If I extend that to include inclusion, having people with lived experience working alongside us is really the only way to go, really. And having the sort of feedback from Nathan in terms of his experience, having joined us as the team as an apprentice, and actually how he has you know, received and been highlighted the experiences of social care has really been very satisfying. I don't see any new comments in the chat. We've got just 2 minutes left, so I think we're just within time. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank members of the panel and the audience for coming and participating. We're really proud of our Proud to Care. We're confident it will go on to grow and do some fantastic things for the social care sector. And we'll be obviously working and reaching out going forward more extensively. One of the things that we want to see in ADASS is, you know, continue the links between the regional activity and the national activity. And I think that's really important, certainly in this sphere of work. So thank you very much for joining us.